us on the show, Barry.
It's a pleasure to be here, Steve.
Yeah, Barry.
It really is. It's a pleasure for me to have you here in the studio. Thank you for making the trip. I know it's at least an hour and a bit drive, isn't it?
Well, I'm hanging with the Rob and the B. Brunton. I mean...
That's your new nickname, by the way.
It's every man's dream.
B. Brunton.
B. Brunton.
The B. Brunton.
Yeah, I'd never be the A. Brunton. They're a special breed. B.
If you're in Canada, you'd be the E. B. Brunton.
B. Brunton. Yeah, that's true.
E. Boot.
A boot.
It's a boot team.
It's a boot team.
Like we asked you the serious questions. Rob and I were really touched, actually, by seeing you on the FreeNZ video with Liz.
We're going straight for the jugular.
Well, I mean, just to explain to people, well, you know, they've just hit play on their podcast and they're wondering, who's this Barry guy? Well, actually, there's a long-time old friend of ours, and we've known you since, for me...
Preschool.
Since,
when we're putting in our little nappies.
1999, I actually can trace it back to when I first met you at Les Mills in Auckland.
Well, in 99, I probably was still pooing my nappies, so I'm pretty much on the money.
Yeah. And then, of course, for a period of time, because you've been so interested in fitness as a passion in your life, I remember hanging out and talking with you at the nutrition store at Les Mills, sort of before and after a workout, or as a reason not to work out.
I'm pretty sure, though, that every time we caught up and we spoke in the nutrition store, we spoke about movies.
Probably.
Yeah, fitness was nowhere in the conversation.
No, it's just there because it was a cool place to be. You know, trying to do my bit, fit in with the cool crowd. I soon learnt that actually it was a place for exercise.
It was?
Yeah, I think so. And of course, we had the shared passion for acting, and I had only recently gotten, at that time, my first ever agent, and I was all stars in my eyes for having recently finished drama school. And here's this guy who was so incredibly talented and would write stuff. I was like, I want to hitch my ride to this dude because, you know, he's got shit going on. And I always thought that you were moving places somewhere special.
No, back in those days, it was quite overblown, trust me.
Was it?
Yeah, fake it till you make it.
Yeah. But we all knew that. I think we all knew that about each other, and there was something where we were bonding to people who were on the same journey as us in some shape or form.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. Rob, fill it in for me, actually.
Well, back in the gym days, that's how I met Barry when I was working at the gym. And for me, man, it was a life changer for me because it just built such a network of people. It exposed me to people in the industry, and I learned so much. So, you're talking about, it's a place for fitness, but also as a place for connection and networking. And I guess in some ways it served, I mean, everyone that walks through the door that goes to a gym, they do it for a reason, right? And it may not be the reason that you think it is. It can be quite specific to that individual. So it was just such a melting pot. But one thing I wanted to ask you, Barry, is your passion for the entertainment industry or being a creator, where did that really originate from? I'm just curious.
No, I can tell you this, and I've told this story 100 times before. When I was probably 12 or 13 years of age, I used to live in a town in the Northern Territory called Nullarbor NT. And there was one local movie theatre, and I lived in that theatre. Anything I could do to get into it. But I used to go in there and I'd go in the foyer and I'd watch the ticket lady called Carol. Carol would do the tickets, and then once the house lights went down, she'd go inside and she'd take care of the house, and I'd go and steal every poster that was pinned to a board. So I think for months they were trying to work out where the hell all these posters went to, and there was me sneaking in, sticking them in my shirt. I can remember this night that I'd taken a few off the board, and they were Australian Day bills. I took them off the board and I put them down my shirt. And I'd gone outside and I'd run into a guy called John Johnson. The little bastard grasped on me.
Yeah.
So I showed him, and then he went and he told the manager, and the manager caught me.
Yeah.
And he brought me in and he said to me, I'm going to give you three choices. I'm going to call the police, I'm going to call your parents, or you can work for what you're stealing. And from that point on, I mean, clearly I didn't take police or parents.
Yeah.
From that point on, that guy taught me how to run a projection booth, how to do anything to do with exhibition ordering film, splicing film, the old 35mm carbon rod burner projectors. I knew how to lace them from beginning to end, turning on the cigarette burns, the single and the double.
Wow.
So being able to match a reel, everything. So until joined the Air Force, I used to work in that theatre, and at points he would just go home and I would run it.
What was his name?
His name was David, and I can't remember his last name.
What a top guy.
I spent the last couple of years trying to find him, just to say, this is where it's led.
Yeah.
I've been poor for decades, you bastard. Thanks for nothing.
Yeah, you're right. That's such a cool story to have that significant life-changing
That turning
event.
point, yeah.
Turning point where someone, someone comes into your life and gives you that opportunity. I think that's
What a
how,
gift.
Yeah, what a gift.
What a gift also from the perspective of I'm going to give something to someone that's just been stealing from me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, instead of a hiding.
Yeah. Wow.
And you mentioned the Air Force. I'm curious, what led you into the Air Force?
Oh, the same little town. So I immersed myself in this world of cinema. And that was about it. And motocross. So I've raced motocross and speedway for most of my life. But there was nothing else there. So I wanted to find an out. And I learned a great lesson in life decades later that the out never happens because you always take yourself. No matter where you go, you always take yourself with you.
Wherever you go, there you are, right?
The change has to come from within. But I got an external change. I joined the Air Force. I got into the military police dogs. And I can't say that I loved the services, but I stayed 13 years. But I loved the dogs, and I loved my dog. And when my dog died, that was a big catalyst for me to leave the services and to go and chase the dream.
How old was your dog?
He was 13 when he passed.
So more or less the length of the time that you were there.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Yeah, I got him when he was a year old, so I had him for 12 years. It broke me.
Yeah.
No, it was a great lesson in loss.
Oh, yeah.
But I left I'd started about 5 years prior to his death. I'd started doing the odd jobs, like odd acting jobs. I got an agent in Brisbane, they were called Quadrant. And with the services, they allowed us to do what was called secondary employment. So we had our jobs, and then we could have a secondary job dependent upon time.
Those clever buggers, they know how to keep people on board. Far out.
Oh, they did.
I didn't think you could do that in the forces.
Yeah, they did. Well, you can't anymore.
Okay.
So I had a secondary. I had that secondary job. I also tried stripping for a while, but that's another story.
That's awesome.
If I got a role, so I went for an audition and I got a role, I would go back to the services and I would put in my leave application. I would take the time off that I needed to be able to fulfill whatever the contract was. So I did Escape from Absalom that way, which was quite a cool film to be on, with Ray Liotta. It was also almost my last job. So it was the first job that I got in a film, and it was also that job that almost got me fired.
What
happened?
Extra.
Okay, so they're doing a scene where Ray's about to go to the prison island, and he's in this staging platform, and I can't remember the name of the actor who played the prison warden. But he's up as a hologram looking down at everybody, and they had to do the scene naked, so they dropped the towels. And so when they call first and they take the towels away, and then they call action, the guy next to me sees Ray there, and it was like without being too delicate, a champignon in like a shrub. He wasn't a well-endowed boy, and he's dead now, so I suppose we can talk about this. But the Australian boys were just like, they were hanging, the Aussie boys, and Ray must have been bloody cold.
Oh, okay.
Now, not to take anything away from him, but the guy next to me just went, and then the next guy, and it was like have a sneeze, a sneeze or a yawn. And it goes from everybody, and Ray stormed off.
Oh,
wow. 8 hours.
Yeah, he was.
8 hours.
8 hours before he came back. And I can remember the producer coming out and he goes, that is the most unprofessional thing I've ever seen. And if it happens again, I will fire every fucking last one of you. You're gone.
Yeah.
So, yeah, my first film job almost became my last film job.
Far out.
Jeez Louise.
God bless you, Ray.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I just recently saw him in, what was the movie?
Cocaine Bear?
No. It was a recent release. It'll come to me. It'll come to me. Yeah.
So Ray Liotta's passed away, right?
Yeah.
So that must have been just
early this year or last year.
That was a recent release. That's got to be just before he passed away.
Yeah, I think it was the last film that he did. Yeah.
They did Cocaine Bear as well, and that's quite cool.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, other than that, was he a cool guy to witness acting or anything?
I don't know. He never spoke to any of us, and I'm not surprised.
Yeah. And then,
I think he's a brilliant actor, though. He's one of my favourites. I'm just watching Goodfellas again.
yeah, great role in Goodfellas. After that, what was the next move for you?
I did a few jobs in Australia, and then I got offered work. So it came to the time when my dog passed away, and I had to make a decision whether I wanted to stay in the services. And I'd been promoted as an NCO, so I was partly running my section. But they send you off to reteam with another dog, and I couldn't bond with the dog. I couldn't do a thing. I just could not get myself in to take on another dog. It was like losing a child and then adopting one. So I can remember when I used to have troops that worked under me, and if they complained, I'd say to them, I'd look at them and I'd say, listen, you know what, listen, I don't worry, you're complaining. You've got an option here. You can take yourself down to the orderly room. You can give them 3 months' notice, and then you're gone. You can get out. So you can stop complaining, and you can do that. And then one day I'm with my boss after my dog had died, and he looked at me and he gave me the same speech. And I looked back at him and I said, am I complaining? I hadn't realised I was. And he said, God, it's been non-stop for months. So I turned around, I walked out of his office, I went down to my orderly room, I put my 3 months in, and I came back, and he said, where have you been? I said, I just quit. And he laughed. He goes, yeah, no, really, where have you been? I said, no, I really quit. This is when I get out. So I went to Papua New Guinea for a little while, and I got a contract working over there. And I can tell you, in all the time in the services, I had never seen anything that would prepare you for Papua New Guinea. Papua New Guinea was both beautiful and deadly.
Mm-hmm. I've heard, right? It's pretty wild and...
Absolutely, and I was professional security, so I was stuck right in the middle of all of that.
Oh, you were there as security. Okay, right. It wasn't just a holiday. I was thinking
No, I was there for almost a year.
Yeah.
I worked for a company called Protect Security Holdings over there, and I was the operations manager. So I was out at night, and I'd see those things that would literally blow your mind. I've seen there's no real... Life's cheap. Life is very, very cheap. And the way that they are forced to live, because every first world nation goes in there and rape and pillage their mineral rights.
Right.
And they're left in poverty. So I don't blame them. And they see the white man now as an enemy, and I don't blame them for that either. So, I spent some time there, and then I left there and I went to Vanuatu, and I set up my own business over there, got my heart broken, sold my shares, came to New Zealand, I went, you know what? I've done some jobs where I'm paid really good money, but none of them have made me happy. The entertainment industry always made me happy. So that was all I wanted to do, and I just dedicated every moment after that to the entertainment industry, to learning how to write properly. And we were talking about when we first met how I was writing. My writing was shit. I had a long way to go, and I've learnt a lot. Now I've got screenplays that are in the top 5 comps in the world I've placed in, because I've took my time to pull my head out of my own arse and stop being egotistical and learn and listen.
That's fascinating. That's a hell of a
learn,
journey.
Yeah, to learn and listen to what? To your own heart, or to other people around you, or to other perspectives?
It was definitely about taking ego out. So listening to other people.
Right.
And not taking every critique as an attack.
Right.
That's hard to do.
It is hard to do. A lot of us do it. But still knowing how to steer your own ship. You have to stay your own course. But you have to be able to listen and see if it works, and at least try it. And acknowledge somebody else that's involved with you on a level where they're, say, like a producer I've got at the moment. Her name is Lucinda Bruce. She's fantastic. She helped me rewrite Nowhere Man. It's never been better.
Wow.
And I had my lead actor who came in and his suggestions, and it made it better. So not shying away from that.
That's hard to take on, though, eh? Like any actor saying, hey, how about doing this, this, and this? I think as a writer, you'd be like, shut up. I don't tell you how to act. You don't tell me how to write. Yeah. There's that temptation.
When I was on Spartacus, the rule was don't question the writing, not to nothing. A full stop, a question mark, an exclamation mark, comma, leave it. Don't question it.
Okay.
And they were right.
Okay.
But I think they went through all their writers' rooms and they did all their before that. So they would have been listening to other writers. They're not going to listen to an actor who wants to change a line. I can remember one actor who just kept saying, I want to say this, I want to say that. And they go, don't. Just don't. It's not worth the trouble.
No.
I suppose it's a fine line to have that impulse to want to do that as an actor. And you got to ask yourself, where's that coming from? Is that coming from a genuine place to improve for the greater good? You know, is it co-creation or is this coming purely from my ego?
Because I'll look good if I say this thing.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But I've learned, and I'm sure we all have, having worked in the industry, that it's a really collaborative process. And when you can fit in and view it from a collaborative process, not just about me, then things tend to work for the greater good, for the end product.
Yeah.
For any creative process, in fact. And you're just one of the, one of the parts of it, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that said, though, I think it's sacrilegious on most sets for any actor to ever suggest that they would want to change the script. It's a real it's a no-no, isn't it?
Yeah, someone like De Niro
sometimes.
will do that.
Yeah.
But De Niro has the power to do it. And you listen to Nicholson, he'll talk about rewriting as he goes.
I've heard him say that.
And they'll go with it. But I think
But
when
that's
you're
'cause
coming
it's
from,
him.
or if you're coming from character.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But you know, I'm like this now. I listen to everybody, but I do tell them. I say, listen, if you do this, it's like throwing a pebble in a pond because the ripples come out and it changes everything. So you need to think about what you've done there. What does it do for me here or you here? Does it serve the script? If it serves the script, 100% right behind it.
Yeah, because someone has thought about all of the ripple effects of what they've already written, and for someone to just not put that investment of time and thought into it, you can't just go throwing something in.
And you know, you think you put it in there. You think you do. A lot of the stuff that I was doing, I was working with Michael Hurst. Right. Michael Hurst, absolute genius.
Yeah.
And let me get a thread here. Mike would say to me, he'd say, you know, listen, you would talk about ripple effects with me, but he would, run me back where we went. I just lost my thread.
Michael Hurst.
Michael Hurst. Do you mean with like changing a line or something, adding something?
Nah, I lost my thread. I'll come back to it.
Yeah. That's all good. Well, I'm interested why you chose to come to New Zealand in some ways, because Australia, from my perspective, always seemed like the bigger pond with more opportunity.
Yeah, it was interesting. I was in Vanuatu and I had a water distillation purification business over there. I was living with a girl from New Zealand, and she found a multi-millionaire that within about 48 hours of meeting him. So I got my heart broken for the first time ever. Wow. And I sold my shares out of the company to her dad. And I didn't want to go back to Australia because I felt like an absolute failure. So my brother lived in Dunedin, and I went licked my wounds in Dunedin.
Right.
Yeah. So and I can tell you this, I was in Dunedin. It was in 1996. It was July and it was snowing at sea level. The seals were down on Kings Beach looking up at me, flapping their little flippers and laughing.
Yeah.
It was so cold I thought I died and gone to hell. So as soon as it warmed up, I loaded up the new Celica I bought, loaded up with everything I owned, and I drove to Auckland and I went, I'm going to film school.
Right. Did you go to South Seas?
Yeah, I went to South Seas. I was the third course through. I was 1997.
That's piecing a few things together for me, because I was at drama school 97, 98, 99 at Unitec.
Yeah.
And
you were with Will, weren't you?
Yeah. Will was an interesting example to pick, actually, because he went to drama school and came back. And when he came back, I think, in my second year at drama school. So he joined the 3-year program I was doing in the second year. And I was like, oh, it's this new person, if my memory serves. So he was interesting because he'd actually gone to drama school, left, had a role on Shortland Street, done some things, and decided, no, I want to train some more, which is interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of similar to what happened to me when I went to South Seas. Then I got onto Herconzina in the same year. Oh. So I took a couple of weeks out during shooting, but I came straight back to South Seas. But I went to South Seas to do camera and lighting. I didn't graduate with camera and lighting, though.
What did you graduate with?
So drama directing, multicam directing, screenwriting.
Right, interesting. Did you ever do any stunt work?
Yeah, I did.
Did you know that Keanu Reeves' stunt double from The Matrix is the guy that's become the director of John Wick 4? All of the John Wicks?
Yeah, I read that.
Mm-hmm. That's an amazing progression, from that point in the industry going all the way across to the other side. Fascinating.
I've heard about a lot of stunties going into second unit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then from second
yeah.
unit, if they decide to advance their career, they go to directing.
Second unit's almost like, because it's where a lot of the fight sequences are done, they were already there. They're sort of advancing within that place they were already known in.
I don't know, if you can
Yeah.
direct a really great fight sequence, there's not much you can't do.
I agree. Yeah. A lot of respect for those guys. If we go back to Les Mills and when I used to hang out with you after a workout and sit and talk, and then we would talk about this or that audition that we'd gone through, how many years went on like that?
You mean just talking about auditions? Lots.
Attending them, going to auditions, changing agents, just living in that life of sort of trying to be fit and then getting acting work, and before sort of big changes took place in your life.
I don't know how it worked for you, but I know that at some point I had to change the way I was thinking, because what I thought was going to happen, what I imagined would happen, what I wished would happen almost became a reality for me. No, in fact, it wasn't almost. It was a reality for me, and it was living a lie. So until the point where I started to get roles and I started to learn from roles. I mean, I think I went into acting with zero knowledge of it, and it's taken me decades to actually understand what it means for me to be able to perform. At the beginning of it, it was exactly that. It was fake it till you make it. So I'd be on a set and I would have imposter syndrome like you would not believe.
Really?
Yeah. Something...
Give me an example of the kind of role.
Oh, anything. Didn't matter what it was. In front of a camera, I felt like an imposter.
So
and it's really
interesting.
hard when you feel like an imposter to envelop a character, because you feel like the imposter of the character as well, not just yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
Years later, and I somewhere in myself, I was listening to things like Stanislavski and all those things that you can do to learn how to be a better actor.
You
And
Puritan.
I read everything I possibly could until I worked out it was absolute bullshit.
Really?
Yeah, sure. You know what I'll do? I'll research a character now, and then I will go onto a set and I will give the best version of the truth that I can give.
Right.
So it all came down to how much I could believe that I was in the character, not working with any other kind of method.
Right, because it's your own truth, right?
Yeah.
And the connection, from my understanding, is if you're, as you say, walking on set or any situation in life as an imposter, how can you be authentic if you can't connect to your own truth?
100%.
So, yeah, that's because I'm glad you mentioned that, because I've experienced imposter syndrome, and I would say a lot of people listening have also experienced that, particularly in the entertainment industry. But it's amazing that you recognise that, and then the evolution to get to where you are now.
Yeah.
It's such an
Yeah,
amazing
it's about being comfortable
thing.
with yourself and
Yeah.
understanding your own truth.
Yeah.
What is it about a couple of dudes that I happen to be sitting in this room with, who are some of the fittest people I've known in my life, had the privilege to sit and talk with, and admire you both for your incredible effort and discipline at keeping fitness regimes, routines, and disciplines, and that you tell me you feel like an imposter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Fill me in, man.
I can explain from my personal journey, but it's not about me.
Oh, I think it is now.
I don't know.
But I think I can relate. I can relate because, in a nutshell, early on in my childhood, to feel safe and to feel worthy in the world, I created this outer image of how I wanted to look so that I could get external validation, which then led to the modelling, the promotions, etc., etc. Realising that, yeah, that was me feeling not safe to be myself. So if I could project to the world, hey, look at me, I'm successful, I'm confident, yet feeling completely, well, who am I, So it was more about the external validation and then reinforcing that and then finding the people, the situations to then reflect that back to me. But all the while, there was this disconnect within me going, hang on a minute, I don't feel like there's this real essence of me there, but it's not fully being expressed. So that's kind of in a nutshell. And I think
that's a good nutshell because honestly,
relate to that?
it's like someone just stuck their hand up my ass
Yeah,
and used me like a puppet because that's exactly how I would have described it, but not as eloquently.
And the kicker is when you look at it from a higher self perspective, it's always looking after you and it's providing you the which we talk about in Reality Up all the time. It's providing you your soul journey to learn your lessons. So we can relate on certain levels, but it will be subtle differences in your experience. But we can relate on that deeper level.
I look at the three of us and the things that we've wanted to do in terms of successes, which very much had an outward nature to it. Look, because if any of the three of us had suddenly become really well known in one show or another, and actually to some extent, Barry, you kind of achieved that because of Spartacus, it's supposed to, or should have, I think, at some level, dramatically changed your life and made you happy. It
should fill that void, right? Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I can look back on that and I can tell you that was one of the greatest times of my life.
Cool.
So the memories from Spartacus are fantastic, but not because of, you're right, because still to a degree, I get people, I've got like 20,000 people that are on my fan sites and things like that. And you can look at that and you can go, wow, that's pretty cool. Not millions like people like Lady Gaga or something like that. Yeah. But at the level you're at, you go, well, 20,000 people, that's not bad. And they're all going, wow, we loved you, what you did.
Yeah.
So that's great validation. But it doesn't make you happy.
No, right.
Yeah. In fact, you know what makes you happy about this? I can tell you what this. There was when I went to my first convention, there was a lady called Buffy, and
the Vampire Slayer.
It's really Buffy. And Buffy was from Kentucky, and Buffy wrote to me and she said, "My son Beanie, and his name is Beanie.
Wow,
his real name is Ashton.
Great names.
But Beanie was 9 years old, and Beanie had cancer twice, and he'd survived cancer twice, but in a large heart. And Beanie's a fighter. He's still around, and he's a great kid. And I stay in touch with his mother and him. But the story here is that they couldn't get to come and see the show that she loved, that she would tell him about, that he couldn't see because he was too young to see it.
Spartacus was R-rated, wasn't it?
Yeah. So she watched it, she loved it, she was a huge fan, but he couldn't get to see it, so she told him about it. She showed him pictures, but she would never show him the show because he couldn't see it.
Okay.
And they couldn't afford to get there, so there was a fundraiser put together by myself and a couple of other people, and we raised the money and we got them out there, and the greatest moment was seeing those people walk through that gate and hugging that child. Wow. That was something that you go, that's something special.
Wow.
That even at that level of what they call celebrity, which I find to be absolute, I hate the word. So, but I get labelled, oh, you're a minor celebrity or a major celebrity, I know, but in my case, they said, oh, you're a celebrity. And I go, well, no, I'm not. I just do a job that I really love, and I got the opportunity to do something like that with it, and that's what makes it worthwhile. That was a great life lesson.
Yeah.
Stop crying.
Yeah, man, you can...
Stop it, bro.
I just can feel it.
No, I just want to get up and hug you now.
Yeah, thanks. So I'd wear it on my sleeve a bit.
I've got to do that a few times.
That just hits me in the heart. That's incredible. Yeah.
That's what makes it special, when you get to be able to do something like that for somebody else.
Yeah.
No, and all the way on your way up to that, you keep thinking, I'm going to get that nice new car, I might be able to afford a house, people will recognise you in the street. This is all bullshit.
Yeah. Well, we're sold that program, societal program, from a young age, and we get it through the media, we get it through, particularly now with social media, this aspiration of how our life should look. And then if it's the trappings, it's the thing that is supposedly going to make you happy, but happiness can be very fleeting if it's attached to the external things, which are all impermanent, that can just disappear. So there's got to be something deeper.
Well, I found
that is eternal, that you've got to find within your own self, right?
I found something deeper within the craft of acting that was more fulfilling for me than after a very short sort of space of doing advertisements or being on a show or something, and might have been noticed occasionally. I was like, oh, this does not make me happy at all. I didn't really have a hunger for more of that, but I soon found, I think it's a lucky thing to find, that especially in theatre, if I could really nail a scene, because it was live every time, it could fuck up every time, or it could go quite well. And if it went really well, I would walk off stage with the actors that we'd just done that scene with, as you just get ready for the next one, and you'd look at each other and go, oh, we nailed it. We nailed that scene. And that was so much, that became about what acting was for me. Oh my God, we got that scene. That felt so good. Or, we got that laugh. We were going for that laugh, and the audience shat themselves. Oh, what a great high. And then all the rest was sort of a nice byproduct of, thanks, I'm glad you enjoyed the show. But it was just, if you could make people smile or laugh or whatever, that was everything for me. But that came from theatre, because you don't really get that instant feedback on set. You can do a great job, but there's so many processes in the way where it's edited and so on.
You can, but if it comes from a cameraman and he's laughing when he's not meant to be, that's the feedback you don't want.
Sure.
But I haven't done much theatre. I've done a little, and I absolutely loved my time on stage.
Yeah.
Did you get to do Ladies' Night at all?
No. Someone actually was talking to me about it. I said, I'm not stripping, and he goes, it's all good. There's roles for people that don't strip. But it was never something that...
Yeah, isn't there like an MC or a narrator? Yeah.
Yeah, Ladies' Night was great though, because Ladies' Night you don't have to be that classic body type. You could be any body type for Ladies' Night.
Yeah, which
and,
it was
such a
the full
fun
Monty
play.
Ripped it off, right?
Yeah. And I wonder.
Yeah.
Now they've got the TV show coming
Okay.
out. Whether Stephen Sinclair and who's the other guy? Who's the other guy that wrote that?
Authors of Ladies' Night.
Authors of Ladies' Night. I wonder whether they got a payout for the TV show as well.
They better get a
think
payout.
So.
Oh, because it was totally their IP.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Who was the other guy? He was the guy that ended up writing Bohemian Rhapsody, and he did I Want to Dance with Somebody. So he ended up doing those.
The guy
Not
who
Steven
collabed with Stephen Sinclair wrote Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yes.
The Queen song.
No, the stage.
The movie.
Oh, the
God,
movie.
I was
Okay.
gonna say,
Because We Will Rock You was the stage.
Yeah, no, he wrote the
musical.
film.
Yeah, but the film.
Okay. Yes,
And I Want to Dance with Somebody, the Whitney Houston story, he wrote that. And
you're really tuned into the writers' scene, aren't you?
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah.
And I know this guy's name. It just eludes me. That's what goes with age.
Yeah. I can't believe I can't remember his name, because I can remember Stephen Sinclair's name. Yeah.
Quick, somebody get Google.
We'll
have a quick look on
We'll
the
get Jamie to do that.
Yeah. We'll pull him over from the Joe Rogan Experience.
So you did Ladies' Night a few times, or?
Did an 8-day run on it at the Rose Theatre in Belmont. We had
the Rose,
140 seating, and it packed out to 170.
Great.
Every night.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Yeah. Because I was going to say, like, we're all unique individuals, and obviously for you, your presence was obviously your physique, and the way you present yourself. So obviously that was integral for Spartacus, et cetera, et cetera.
Absolutely. It created a niche for me.
Created a niche, yeah. So it's interesting how we, whatever creative endeavor, I'm always fascinated with what we do in terms of, are we the funny person? Are we the physical presence kind of guy, our entry point and how we construct that. I always find that really fascinating.
Yeah, and the entry point's one thing. You've got to have some kind of base and talent to keep you in there once the door's open. Right?
Yeah. Oh, here we go.
Yeah, there it is. Stephen Sinclair.
Anthony McCartan.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he was the guy who did Bohemian Rhapsody.
Right.
Talented individual.
Far out.
So, what happened after Spartacus?
Oh, God, what happened after Spartacus? I went to LA, hung around with the big boys, went to Chateau Marmont, did the red carpet event at LA Live, and then we had the after party at Chateau Marmont. Sat down and I talked with a whole bunch of people, learned some valuable lessons there, say yes to everybody, rather than, no, just talk to my agent.
Just say yes to everybody.
Yeah. So I had a couple of guys come up and say, we've got pilots that we're doing. We think you'd be great in this. I said, it's awesome. Talk to my agent. Never heard from them again. I should have sat down, engaged them, and spoken to them, but,
Right,
and
because
that came with
that was
naivety.
kind of like a from culturally, from their perspective, was that like a
it was a
put down?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's exactly what it
talk
was.
to my agent.
Yeah.
But
Have
in
your
fact, as a
agent call
Kiwi,
my agent, we'll do brunch.
As a Kiwi, you might be like, "That's cool. Call my agent. I'll set it up. My loyalties to him, her, and whatever she books me in for, I'll go do." Right, which is sort of like a yes, but they perceived it as a no.
What I should have done was sat down and said, okay, tell me about it. And have 2 drinks in your hand so that when it gets boring, you go, oh, look, I've got another drink for someone.
Yeah, that's a clever move.
But I should have sat down and I should have engaged with them. But I got offered a role in, Inception was the one with DiCaprio, right? So the show that I got offered a role in was Incursion. And it was by the same writer as Spartacus. But The budgets blew out to be so much for this show. I think it was like $8 million an episode that Stars turned down and declined to do the show, so it disappeared.
Right.
I came back to New Zealand and I got offered the lead role. I auditioned for and got offered the lead role in a show called The Jab Racket. It was about Irish gangsters, and it was some phenomenal scripts.
Yeah.
Phenomenal writing. And they were up against, what was the show with the quiz guys? Remember the under 30 quiz guys, and they ran it for a couple of seasons. It was a New Zealand show.
Oh, no. Yeah, I knew some people in that. Something trivia.
Yeah, nothing trivial.
Nothing trivial. Yeah.
So there was an outcry when they ended that after 2 seasons, and they insisted that they do a movie-length version of it to finish it.
Right.
So the budget for Jab Racket, that could potentially have been a budget for Jab Racket, disappeared, and then the show disappeared. But it broke me. The guys, when we shot some test footage for it, they put the test footage together and made a short film that's up on YouTube. That's all I've got from it now. But
should have been a really good project, eh?
Should have been a go project. It was absolutely brilliant. It was the guys were from a place called FreeNZ Media, and the writing was some of the best I've ever read.
Yeah. What years was Spartacus shot?
We finished in 2013, at the end of 2013. So it's 10 years since we wrapped.
Right.
And there were 4 seasons.
It was quite an interesting moment in the history of film and TV. Like it popped, you know?
And it was all in studio, so you controlled the environments were completely controlled, so we could shoot day in day out. It didn't make any difference.
And it was a real story of sort of the way New Zealand had sold itself to the world as a place you could come and shoot at too. Right?
Well, it was Rob Tappert was completely responsible for that.
Right.
Rob wanted to shoot in New Zealand. He loves New Zealand. He's still here.
Is he married to someone here?
Yeah, Lucy Lawless.
I thought so.
That would have been off the back, obviously, of Hercules, young Hercules, and then you just had these other productions that were going, we've got all the infrastructure, we've got it all set up, let's just keep this
Rob
rolling.
Tappert did one of the Spider-Mans, didn't he?
Oh, no, Sam Raimi did. And I think
Raimi.
I'm pretty sure that Rob was involved as a producer or an executive producer. But you bang on the money, because I did all of those shows. So that was my background was with Pacific Renaissance, and I must have been doing something right because they kept coming back.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those things also that obviously you would think, and this was kind of what I understood, is that once you became known for something, you became credible and you became, you build some heat. So then you're going to get, hopefully, other opportunities off the back of that.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and they knew that there was someone, they knew that you were someone that they wanted to work with. In other words, you weren't a pain in the ass when you're on set.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And if you're malleable and you could work with a director and you took direction and they were prepared to work with you, even if you were the greatest actor known to mankind. And me, I look at myself as a better writer, way better writer than I do an actor.
Sure.
But I love being in front of the camera.
And they
love to create a character.
They appreciate your professional competence.
Yeah. They want to know that you're not going to be a complete and utter arsehole. And you notice that those guys, they don't show up that often. I like to, if I'm on a set and somebody walks away and they say, I really enjoyed working with that guy. He was a laugh, but he did his job.
That's a one.
Then I'd feel better about someone going, well, it was the most fantastic performance. Because, we all look back on our performances and go, and we cringe.
Yeah.
No matter what we do, we cringe.
Yeah.
But if I hear someone say, I really enjoyed working with that guy, that's worth it.
Totally. Because we've heard about people who did incredible performances, but they were just assholes.
Yeah.
And no one wanted to work with them again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when we talk about after Spartacus, I would have worked 3 or 4 jobs a year after Spartacus.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, voiceover work as well. So I got really into my voice work.
No, you're talking my thing.
Because you did voice for me and you were fantastic.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That was a really cool. You got a copy of that still?
I do. It's on my YouTube page.
Yeah,
I put it up on Twitter again the other day. People rave about it.
Yeah.
And that was with Michael Hurst as well.
Yeah.
But so I went and I did all those. I did, like I said, 3 or 4 jobs a year. And one of the standouts was Brokerwood Mysteries.
You're right.
Did you see it at all?
I didn't spend much time watching anything Kiwi for a while. I sort of had a phase of avoiding it. I can't. It was a weird thing to admit to because I love our industry, but I just found myself in a different world.
I'll tell you, it's an interesting one though.
But I knew it was doing well. I knew it was like hiring a bunch of folks, and it was doing
really interesting shows. Very much Midsummer Night Murder sort of stuff.
Right. Yeah.
It has a following, I think, of 250,000 people in New Zealand, which is not a bad following. But
That's an incredible following.
If you go global,
Yeah.
16 million.
What?
16 million people were watching that show. The fan mail that I was getting from that was huge, and I had one of the best roles I've ever done.
Really?
Yeah. I got to play a special needs character who was mentally 6 years old.
Okay.
And I had a really great research pool of these kids that I would work with who were, what's the term? They're not mentally challenged.
Intellectually handicapped?
Yeah, they're intellectually handicapped kids, and I got to work with them. So I took two of these kids. One was called Ben, and Ben would be this cheeky little guy that every time I saw him, Ben would be like one after the other, like rapid fire. He'd go, "Why, Barry? Why, Barry? Why? Why, Barry? Why? Why, Barry? Why? Why?" And I said, "Ben, if you keep asking me why, I will take you out in the yard and I will paddle your butt." And he'd look at me and he'd go, "Why, Barry? Why?" Or this kid called Armitage. He was an Indian kid, and Armitage would probably be mentally 10. He'd never get past that.
Okay.
And I would listen to him and watch him, so I took the speech pattern from him. He'd walk out of our gym and he would walk past the receptionist that he liked, and he'd go, and he'd braille. So he'd be touching his fingers as he speak, and he'd go, "Hello, Mrs. Gym Lady. I look at you tomorrow."
Right.
So cheeky
like,
nature.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
The cheeky nature of Ben and the speech patterns of Armitage, and that was how I blended this character together, and it was one of the best things I think I've ever done. I loved it.
That's a killer formula.
I went home to Susan and I said to her,
That's
I
satisfying.
went home to my wife and I said to her, "Baby, I got this role.
Yeah.
And I'm playing this guy, he's mentally 6 years old." And she goes, "That's all right. You'll be able to rise to that."
Classic.
Oh, that's so
Great
good.
response. Now, so you blended those two kids or characters before the audition, I take it?
Yeah.
Yeah, not after the fact. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew of them.
That's a good question.
I knew
Yeah,
of
yeah.
them. I
What
got
did
to
you
work with them.
You
formulate?
might have
Yeah.
got the role and,
Yeah, sure.
then done it after.
Yeah, and then came up with that.
The audition was I got to say, it was fucking great, because the audition was my character, and he has his mobile phone in front of him and he's playing a game and it's Shark Attack. So I've got the lines in front of me.
Oh, great.
Oh, brilliant.
On my phone, doing it by that, and it was the easiest audition I ever got. And then the Rainbow said, "You got the role." I went, "Oh, I should do that all the time."
Yeah, right. Yeah. Have that
Suddenly you're
prop.
the guy that turns up with the cell phone as the prop.
Yeah.
The prop.
Constantly.
Yeah. Always.
It felt
Good
like
idea.
a Marlon Brando moment, like you're
Reading
looking
off
at
the- yeah.
or reading off the back of a prop.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was doing that, and then you know what happened to me is I ended up getting to a point where I couldn't audition anymore because I got jab injured. So I couldn't go to an audition without looking like I was auditioning for a Michael J. Fox role.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much where I've got to
Yeah,
now.
but the personal training side of things, have we covered that?
Because you've been personal training as well.
Yeah.
As a
Yeah, so I personal trained for years. Personal training to me was just not working in a restaurant. We'd be doing
Right. So you weren't too passionate about it?
I was passionate about my own training.
That's good
and
to know.
I was
Yeah,
passionate about the people that I got to work with because, like any actor, we all watch the people around us. We watch people. We're studies of human nature. It was an amazing nurturing ground for that. And I got to meet some really amazing people.
Yeah.
But personal training has never really been my passion. Gym industry is not really my passion. My passion has always been entertainment industry, first and foremost.
Right.
So if I talk about PT, it's exactly like that. I go, well, I just served up the soup or I just gave you your entree, because it is like working in a restaurant for me. It's an in-betweeny job.
Yeah.
Sometimes the in-betweens can be years, though.
Sure.
well, actors have to find something.
Yeah, otherwise we go nuts. And you have to find the one thing is, I don't think that working in a restaurant satisfies anybody.
No.
Maybe there's that one guy, that one guy.
I think you got to reconcile it for yourself. So you're into fitness, you like the gym vibe, you can connect with people and build relationships. So it's enough to kind of sustain you, and it's enough within your skill set and within your field of expertise that you go, yeah, I can do that.
And there's a rationale to it, which is that it's adjacent.
Adjacent,
To what
yeah,
you're
exactly.
currently doing, like actors that work in film sets.
The other side of that coin too is
a runner.
When you can set your own hours and you can walk away from it, and I can go home and I can write, because the writing took over for everything for me.
Yeah.
I could write, and while I'm writing, it's like being a schizophrenic. Now I'm in a stage where I'm writing. I know that the writing's really good when they start to speak to me, so my characters start to speak back to me, and it feels like that. I'll go to sleep at night and I can hear them talking in my head, which is so fucked up.
No, I was going to ask you, like, the creative process, like, are you channeling it? Is it do you go through a ritual of getting into the writing space, or do you go through moments where you've got amazing creativity flowing through you, or is there things you can do to prompt that? But you're saying,
moments.
yeah.
It's moments. I wrote one called Tandoori Apocalypse, and it was based on, or the idea came from watching Shaun of the Dead.
Right.
So when I pitch it, I go, this is Shaun of the Dead meets Clerks with Bollywood.
That's cool though, because because in the Hollywood system, you kind of need to have a summary, don't you?
Yeah, 100%. You need to be able to put it down to a succinct sentence.
Yeah.
But with Shaun of the Dead, I remember Shaun walking across the road to his local dairy, and he buys something, and the dairy owner's a zombie in the back there.
Yeah.
And he walks home, and I looked at that and I went, oh, I wonder what happened to the dairy owner.
Yeah.
So I wrote a story
Right.
that's not zombies, it's about vampires, but it's about two Indian guys in their dairy when all of that kind of shit hits the fan. What would they do?
Yeah.
So, well, does life change for them? Like, mum's still out the back planning an arranged marriage for the eldest son. She hasn't stopped.
Yeah.
She's in this denial about the world ending, and she keeps the store open. But they can't have the store open at night because that's when the vampires are active. And the big fat bride and the two friends who've got their rivalry amongst each other, and then the last of mankind end up in that dairy at the end of the world on the last day of mankind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So that just came from that one little spark.
Yeah.
And then I wrote
That's all you need sometimes, right?
Absolutely.
That little spark.
Yeah.
Or an absolute passion for it, because I wrote a werewolf story and I love lycanthropes. So I wanted to do something about werewolves, but I wanted to do something that was gritty, that was as realistic as I possibly could get, and that was different. So I set it all in World War II.
Yeah.
Set it amongst a bunch of guys who've seen things that are so horrific that when this happens to them, it's just another thing to add to the list of horror.
Is that one of the ones that's been picked up?
Well, it's a graphic novel.
Yeah.
It's done really well as a graphic novel, and it's on Amazon at the moment, and it is ratings through the roof.
Yeah.
It didn't get picked up. I think it got purloined. Is that a good word?
What does that
I'm
mean?
not even sure what that word is.
Taken by somebody else. So there's a movie out there that's extremely similar to it.
Oh, really?
We had a year and a
It got
half.
full Montied.
We had a year and a half of trying to fight it with the number one QC here, copyright QC in New Zealand.
Okay.
We couldn't get a lawyer to take the case in LA because they kept coming back with, well, we're not going to bite the hand that feeds us. Whoa. So, and then if you go up against the studios, and I can't say which studios it was, I won't say what movie it is.
Okay.
But you can't go up against them when they're coming back at you with insurances that they have millions behind them to fight people like you coming after them.
Right.
So if you think about it, the Full Monty's a great example of it. The Colour of Water was another one.
Okay.
I do believe. Oh, there was another really, really big one that was that they said was a rip-off. But there's tons of them. There's so many cases against them. But yeah, we had 22 pages of absolute blatant copies.
What?
But we couldn't do anything with it.
Really?
Because we didn't have the money to fight.
Yeah. Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you either become extremely bitter about it, or you just let it go and you move on to the next project.
I was going to say, right, because you either be bitter about it, and if you don't have the means to fight it, then you've kind of got to let it go.
No, if you don't, it eats you.
Yeah.
And you know what? I had two other films that I'm moving with at the moment. So I've got one called Hellion Rising, another one called The Nowhere Man, and both are doing really well. Both just got picked up for distribution. So I'm like, let that go and focus on what's positive.
You've got to.
Yeah.
Hey?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you get any more news about one of the actors in one of them?
Her.
Can you mention that?
Not yet.
Okay.
So what we are doing is, and I can tell you this, my producer has got distribution. Now she's going after Screen Australia for producer offset fund.
Okay.
So once the offset fund is locked down, that's 40% of the budget, and that means that they can make a cash offer to that particular person. Yeah.
Well, I look forward to hearing about that.
I'm looking forward to telling her she's my kitchen pass.
What does that mean?
What does that mean? Yeah.
So this particular actress she's stunningly beautiful. She's not just beautiful; she's incredibly talented.
Sure.
And the film that she did, I was watching it with my wife, and there was a scene where she walks out naked.
Kitchen pass.
And my wife had to lean over, and she had to just shut my jaw. And she said,
I get it.
And her exact words. So she said to me, Barry, she said, if you get to meet this particular person, or you make it to Hollywood and you meet this person, and she's stupid enough to want to fuck you, Yeah. There's a lot of love there.
I know the phrase is hall pass, I think.
Yeah.
Kitchen pass.
She said, so you go for broke, boy, one night, and then she'll send you home. She'll send you home anyway.
Yeah.
So that was my kitchen pass. So I figured this was going to happen. There is no way in the world that is ever going to happen on God's green earth. But I'm going to go to this person. I'm going to say, listen, I want you to do me a favour. As you walk past my wife, just go, hey, he was fantastic.
And that'll be payback for you rising to the 6-year-old mental level.
Yeah, exactly.
Bingo.
Yeah, nice. Well, I guess when people are listening to this, I want people to realise that you've actually had quite a full, varied and interesting career with successes in all sorts of different ways coming in your direction, right?
I'm not dead yet.
Exactly, and there's more to come. But then it's an important context, because the thing that I really want to get into now, if that's cool, is, like I said at the beginning, Rob and I reflecting on the world and what's been going on and the pandemic and stuff. We're incredibly concerned about the effects of, in particular, the Pfizer and other vaccines for COVID, and affected by the fact that people who didn't take it couldn't work in this industry and had to sort of take a period of time on ice or lost the agents that they were with, all kinds of things like that. And I personally was really concerned about the potential health effects or problems arising from it. But a lot of people poo-pooed that and said, no, that's bullshit, that's not an issue. And plenty of people have taken this vaccine and had no problem, or have perhaps the slow onset of things occurring for them, but they don't associate it with it. And your story, which is really topical to what's happened recently, is you did take it. You didn't really want to take it, as far as, and you can tell that in your own way, but it's affected you. And after the second shot, right?
Yeah, after the second shot.
And then I first learned about this through a friend of a friend who passed on through just conversation, that Barry was at a party and I couldn't believe that he told me some shit had happened to him as a side effect of the shot. And I said to Rob, fuck, it's begun. Because we'd always talked about that these sort of things could happen. Broke my heart that it was someone that was important to me, someone that I've spent time and sat cumulatively hours with you at a previous point in my life, right? Hours I've sat with you in that nutrition store next as part of Les Mills, laughing. And then, we don't necessarily spend a lot of time together at all, but I wanted to reach out to you as soon as I heard it and went, man, fuck, I'm really sorry to hear.
Quality, not quantity, brother.
Yeah, thanks. No, I totally agree.
Yeah.
And so we saw Liz Gunn's piece on it, and we were quite moved by it. And I regret that was one of the main reasons I reached out to you again, because we haven't been in regular contact. But thanks for coming on and sharing the context of where life's been up till that point. Because if that normal trajectory continues, well, you just carry on doing the roles and the writing and all that sort of stuff. What's happened, in your own words, and where's that put you now?
Well, you hear all the coughing. That's a lung infection that I've had for 3 months that I can't get rid of.
Okay. As a sort of a side effect of a reduced immune system at the moment?
My immune system is absolutely hacked. I had blood tests to show that I have 11 times the amount of spike protein in my system that you would have is if you'd had a raging infection of COVID. So if you have COVID, you have between 179 and at the high level, 300 antibodies per milliliter of blood. I have 3,108.2 in my system now, 2 years later after the jab. Wow. I had COVID, but I had it a year after I got all my symptoms. So if anybody wants to put it down to COVID, good luck with that. That's like the Immaculate Conception.
That just doesn't make sense, yeah.
Makes no sense whatsoever, but people do try to tie that together. Some of the, I'll tell you, I'm on social media a lot talking about it, and the attacks on social media are quite light, so there's not a lot of people who do it, but the ones who do it, they're quite vicious.
Let's come back to them, because I think there have been a few interesting things that people have said, and I think it's disgusting. But before we get to them, take me through the timeline for anyone listening, where you were at when you had the first jab, then when symptoms arised, and sort of plod through that.
Yeah, so 2021, it was August I had the first shot.
Right.
I had no intention of taking the first shot, but I had a Spartacus gig, so a convention where I had to go sign autographs to do this kind of the
Was that overseas?
meet the fan stuff. So that was in the States and
Right.
in Paris. So I had 2 coming up this year, or in 21. So so I took the jab, and I can honestly tell you, I was sitting there in Birkenhead in this massive hall with everybody else, baaing like a sheep. And Susan looked at me and she said, "You're one of them. Stop it."
Yeah.
That's when that hit home. But I also I was working at a gym, and at my gym, they said, no jab, no job.
Okay.
So how do you either take the jab and you take that risk, or you starve to death? Where do you go for a job after that? There's so many people out there who say, well, you shouldn't have taken it and lost the job. Mm-hmm. So you do that. How do you survive? There's no way in the world they're putting you on welfare for that, because you refuse to take the jab to keep your job. What I regret, you remember we talked about this, we said you're either going to be a waiter or you do a job that's acceptable to you in between gigs. I have potentially ended my life for a job that I don't like or don't love. So if I'd have been told you're going to take this jab to get a great movie role, the role you dream of, I would have taken it.
Right.
But I took it for something that was not worth taking it. And I mean, I remember when the figures came out, it was 98.4% chance of you surviving COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1.6% chance that you were going to die. And the CDC themselves said that there was 75% of that 1.6% were people over the age of 80, or they had 4 or more comorbidities.
That's right.
I mean, it's sad. No one should die from this anyway. But, I mean, if I make it to 80 and I've got 4 or more comorbidities and I die, it was going to happen.
Yep. Yep.
So,
and every flu season, people at that age group pass away because of lung infections. That
Not in 21 and 22, buddy. Nobody died of a lung infection in 21 and 22.
Yeah, except then somehow no one died of that. Then
It was a miracle.
Incredible.
It was the second coming.
Yeah. Yeah.
So on September the 16th, I took the second jab. On September the 17th, I couldn't get out of my chair. I would be sitting in my office and Susan says, "You've got to come for a walk with me." I know I couldn't move. I couldn't get up. I had no will to get up. I had no energy to get up. I had nothing. It was chronic fatigue. Whoa. That lasted for about 8 weeks. If I went to the shops to get something, I couldn't walk up and down my driveway without having to stop halfway up, because I just lost my breath and my heart was smashing my chest.
And this is all without having any COVID-19 symptoms.
I had no COVID.
Yeah.
So I got hold of my doctor pretty much straight away.
Yeah.
And I told him about my symptoms, and he said, I have to own this. He said, "Do you want to go to hospital now?" I said, "No, I don't want to go to hospital." In fact, I've never wanted to go to hospital. I'm terrified of the damn things. But I said, "No, I did that. I'm a guy. I'm okay. I'm strong enough to cope with this."
Yeah, sure.
I think the only way it would have happened is if I had actually collapsed and they would have got an ambulance to take me. But otherwise,
Sure.
I was thinking, no, what do you think? I couldn't connect the dots and go, "Oh, this vaccine's done this to me."
Really?
No, I couldn't connect the dots.
Yeah, no,
Right,
there's got to
right.
be a point when you don't, right? And then you do. Yeah.
So my legs filled up with fluid. If you can imagine, just wearing a pair of sports socks, and there's so much fluid in your legs that it loops over the top of them like a sack of fat hanging over the top of your socks. It looks so hideous. It's like the sock was a dam. My legs filled up with so much water, that's what it looked like. It was repulsive. My skin was crawling. I had heart palpitations. My gag reflex blocked down. So if I tried to get onto a treadmill to do any kind of training, which I couldn't possibly do, so I'd do 5 minutes, my gag reflex would block so badly that I'd have to get off and I'd have to move my body around to try to release the air. Otherwise, I was just gagging and burping and I couldn't breathe properly. I got a slight tremor in my finger at the time, but I'd had a motocross accident, and I thought that finger, which was damaged anyway, was just twitching because of nerve damage. But then I went to my thumb, and a couple of months later, it's in all my fingers, and then it started to tremble my hand, and it worked its way up my elbow and into my shoulder. But we got back to where I'd gone to my doctor with all the symptoms.
Right.
It took nearly 4 or 5 months before they got me to see a cardiologist. So that's how long it took to get an appointment. When I got to my appointment, the doctor looked at me, the cardiologist, he did my bloods, he did my ECG, and he said, "Mr. Duffield, you can go home if you want to, but I would suggest you don't.
Wow.
I would suggest right now you walk across the road with my nurse and I admit you to the ward."
Wow.
So I got admitted into a ward and they did a week of testing, and they put it down to cardiac myopathy. Now, cardiac myopathy is thickening of the left ventricle through weight training and what they call steroid use. Now,
Okay.
I am, and I've always said this, using roids because I'm on a mill from my doctor, so I'm administered it every week just so that I can still have sexual function. Otherwise, I don't.
Okay.
So then they said cardiac myopathy is attached to all your symptoms. Now, as my symptoms, they said that you will never get better from this, it'll get worse. So the symptoms began to reduce for a lot of things like the heart palpitations, the breathing, the gag reflex, they all reduced. And according to
Over
them,
what, sort of a week or two?
No, over a year.
Okay.
But these were the things they said would never reduce.
Yeah.
There are also the things that if you look up cardiac or if you look up myocarditis, these symptoms are directly attached to that, not to cardiac myopathy.
Right.
So they were in denial and they were trying to blame it on something that's not. What they have actually said was, within 12 hours of taking the vaccine, your lifestyle's caught up with you, and that's what it is.
Which is nuts, right?
Oh, and it's
Just
incredibly
within
insane.
12 hours, suddenly it's everything you've done for the last
Yeah.
58 years, and now suddenly it's coming in 12 hours.
61.
Yeah, but at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
Because
might be
gotta
61 now.
You got to think of the temporal nature. Like that's soon after taking that second shot. You've got to join the knots.
Absolutely,
Surely.
there's causality.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
And I think also people need to understand the difference between myocarditis and
Right.
And
cardiomyopathy.
cardiac myopathy, absolutely
Yeah.
right. So they've tried to blame it on that. Now, I've had blood tests since then, and the blood tests, as I explained to you, they show that I have massive amounts of spike protein in my body. The last test we got was the IgG4 test to show whether those are the ones that will shut down your autoimmune system, and I am massively inundated with them.
Well, myocarditis, in case you're listening and you don't know this or this is new to you, is a side effect from the Pfizer vaccine.
Yeah, and they claim it's a side effect from COVID as well, but that became very convenient after they'd already claimed it for the vaccine. So they were going, now,
very
no, but you can
convenient.
also get it with
Sure.
COVID.
It's very convenient to say it's a side effect of COVID when it appears that's a sort of a statistics game, because people who have gotten COVID after taking the vaccine are the ones that
Right.
appear to be getting, as far as I can tell, are the ones that appear to be getting that side effect from COVID,
Yeah.
but they took the vaccine. So in the document dump, in the release of documents that Pfizer wanted to obscure for 75 years, but some good judge said, no, you can release it. There were something like 55,000 documents. In those
Sorry,
documents, that's all right. In those documents, myocarditis was a known side effect that that Pfizer have admitted to in those documents. It's in their own reports. I wouldn't say admitted because they didn't want that information out, but it was revealed. And it's all right there. It's important that you know that there's been a raft of side effects that have been revealed in those documents, and your textbook for one of them, and probably a few.
Well, now I've got a cardiologist who's actually saying, listen, that he's not going, it is, but he's at least opened up and he's gone, well, you probably had myocarditis alongside cardiac myopathy.
Right.
Because as your symptoms reduced, the inflammation of your heart has gone down, and that's why the symptoms have reduced. With cardiac myopathy, the thickening of the left ventricle, there's no way it's getting thinner.
Right.
There's no way. And they've actually said I have 92% heart functionality. For my age, it's somewhere between 55 and 75% for a good heart functionality. I'm at 92%. So my heart functionality is phenomenal for my age.
Well, you're in phenomenal shape.
Yeah.
But, but now my lungs are not. So now I've got 50% lung capacity because I can't shake the last infection I've got. So what I have and what they deny is, if you cast your mind back and you think about AIDS. So AIDS wasn't AIDS or HIV that killed the sufferers of AIDS. It was the infections they got after that they couldn't fight. So I have so much antibody in my system, and people go, well, that must be great because you have so much antibody that you're not going to get infected. But I have spike protein antibody that's designed to fight COVID, and it's designed to fight Delta. So any other infection that I get, my system is so overrun with this stuff that I can't create antibodies to fight anything else.
Right.
So when I get sick, I get really sick. And the potential for me now is that I'm going to get an infection that's going to be so destructive for my body that I'm not going to be able to fight back, and that's what's going to kill me. So,
so you're talking about, just in simple terms, you're talking about your natural immunity has been substantially compromised.
Yeah, there's a term for it, but they deny the term. It's called VAIDS, so it's Vaccine Autoimmune Deficiency Syndrome.
Right.
But they go, oh, that's rubbish, it doesn't exist. Well, I can tell you, I'm absolute living proof that it does exist.
I suppose I should explain for people listening, because, you know, our podcast isn't a video podcast. Barry, you're sitting here, your left arm is constantly shaking and moving, which to people who weren't any the wiser might think you might have Parkinson's or something.
Or I'm playing with myself.
Sure. You've got such a great sense of humor. Yeah. I love it. But like, that's important. Like, this whole time we've been sitting here, and I'm accustomed to it and quite relaxed about it. But for someone who doesn't sort of understand what they're seeing, they wonder why a person is constantly moving. You mentioned Michael J. Fox, you know, because he's got what he's got that has him constantly moving. Yours seems to be restricted just to sort of your arm.
One arm, yes. It's where I had both shots.
And both were in the left arm.
Both in the left arm.
Yeah.
Do you know what the interesting thing is too, is that I've got a double whammy. It's not just the vaccine that did me. They attributed this straight down and labelled this Parkinson's straight away. Not even a second thought about potentially being vaccine. They didn't want to look at it. They didn't want to talk about it.
Right.
So they put me onto a Parkinson's drug called Cinemat. I did tell you the story, didn't I?
You did, yeah.
Yeah, they put me on Cinemat. Now, Cinemat, they gave me no instructions with it. They just told me how to take it, but there were no warnings about side effects. I've looked them up. And the side effects for it are they're anxiety, depression, hallucinations, suicidal thoughts. Now, had I known about that and had my wife known about that, maybe we would have had something that we could look at. So we'd have at least an overview to see if any of that started happening. That we could stop taking the drugs. So you take this drug and you build it up. It starts off at half a tablet a day for a week, and then you work your way up until you're on 3 tablets. By the time I got to 3 whole tablets, I had no idea who I was. I put my head into a mirror because I was so furious at whoever was looking back at me that I didn't know who they were. And I came home from work one day absolutely black. The only way to describe it is black. I came home and I walked past my wife as she was leaving for work, and I just said, I can't talk to you. I need to go up and I need to go to sleep because I need to sleep off whatever it is I'm feeling. So I went upstairs and I took a Cinemat, so one of their Parkinson's drugs, 2 sleeping tablets, and I just thought I'll knock myself out for a couple of hours. Well, 14 hours later, I woke up in ICU with ligature marks around my neck, a photograph that my wife had taken to prove that what I'd done. I'd taken every single sleeping tablet in my house, and then I'd strung my bathrobe up, the cord up in the wardrobe, and strapped it around my neck and tried to hang myself.
Fuck.
Apparently the only reason that I survived this is that I'm a shit Boy Scout.
Wow.
Right. Yeah.
She found me where I eventually crawled into the shower, and the shower was on cold. I was blue on the bottom of the shower, barely breathing when the paramedics got there. And, then I woke up in the hospital hearing someone screaming for their mother. Wasn't me.
It wasn't you?
No.
No.
And I can get through that story and tell you it now, but
yeah,
it's taken a long time to get to a point where I can actually talk about it without not bursting into tears.
Yeah, I can feel
But
that.
the other side of it is that I'm relaying a story to you that the middle of it, the meat of it, is something that I was told by my wife that I have absolutely zero memory of it. So I don't remember taking anything after the Cinemat and the 2 sleeping tablets. I remember nothing. I don't remember an attempted hanging. I don't remember the paramedics getting there. I just remember waking up and hearing somebody screaming for their mother.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then after that, I got slammed with anxiety attacks. It's just like it's the gift that keeps on giving.
And the medical industry in so many ways is responsible for it, because they didn't even tell you about the side effects of Cinemat, which you might have then went, I don't know if this is for me.
And it's a chain. I've gone from the vaccine that's done this to me to getting onto Cinemat to try and counter what it's done to me, and that's screwing me as well. So it's this chain of events.
I think people who are hearing this and want to see the video, it's worth seeing as well, and we'll link it in the show notes. But it's a link through to FreeNZ on Facebook.
There's another one coming out soon too. I think it's next week that they're releasing the follow-up with all the test results.
Yeah. Can you talk about that, or you can't really know?
No, I
because
can talk about them. So, the test results showed the IgG4 levels,
yes,
the amount of antibodies in my bloodstream.
she mentioned that, right.
And we're about to, and I can mention this, we're about to go legal, so we're about to follow that route. And I want to do that, 100% push them to do this. Not for any money. Mm-hmm. I want accountability. I want people brought to account. I want to know why it is that this government said that they would have MedSafe check this vaccine to be safe and effective, and MedSafe opened the door and said, absolutely it is, when even Pfizer couldn't come back and tell us that it was safe and effective.
And their own documents now say it isn't.
Yeah.
On so many levels.
So how did MedSafe, where did they miraculously pull this from?
Yeah, that's right.
So, we're in the process of doing that. And I don't know if you know of a lady called Casey Hodgkinson. Have you heard of her?
No, I haven't, no.
Casey is like me, but she's in a wheelchair. She can't move. She's got like
I think I
Tourette's
have.
symptoms.
Yeah.
Blonde lady?
Yes, blonde. And Rob, the Maori guy, I can't remember Rob's name, sorry, mate.
Yeah.
But Rob's the same. And I look at those guys and my heart goes out to them because I look at myself and I go, I'm not in a good way, but I'm not in a wheelchair.
That's right.
And my life hasn't been completely stopped. Theirs has.
I had heard of Casey. Is she the lady who was working for Rubber Monkey in the call centre or something?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And she took it because she needed to keep a job.
Absolutely, like the rest of us.
Yeah.
Being like I said, it's levels. These guys are at a point in their lives where their life has stopped. They can't do anything.
Yeah, and you can get about and you can drive and, you can go visit your friends for coffee.
I can. It's a miserable coffee date when you're crying.
Yeah.
A friend of mine after the suicide...
But it's relative, for those guys.
Absolutely. Like I said, I look at them and I think I'm blessed.
Yeah,
but,
100%.
Mine is emotionally. I went to Fiji. Friend sent us to Fiji straight after the suicide attempt to get us out of the city.
Right.
It was like being in paradise but being in hell.
Right.
I had anxiety attacks on the plane. I'd have them at dinner. I'd have them in the ocean. I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't have them, and I still have them to this day.
Yeah.
So you imagine driving your car and so you're not in a wheelchair, but you're driving your car to go to somewhere, and you have one of these things. I've locked up the brakes in the middle of a motorway, and I've just had to stop because I've been just racked with it.
Yeah.
So emotionally, I'm in a wheelchair.
Yeah, that's true. And you've been so cool about being relaxed and sharing this with us because, and you've said this, I'm just going to say it because you've told me and it makes a lot of sense, but I see like the movement in your arm, right, moves more when you're upset, and that's something you told us about. But to sit here hearing these stories when earlier your arm wasn't moving as much and we're talking about the fun things on Spartacus and that sort of stuff, I can see how your autonomic nervous system and the way things just run on their own accord, like the way we breathe automatically, is so affected by our emotions. And
it seems to be attached to my adrenal system.
That's what I was looking for. Exactly. Yeah.
Which means that I can't play poker ever again.
Like when you've got a good house, you'll be like, hey, why am I so still?
Yeah.
Or I'm shaking like shit and they're going, oh, he's bluffing.
He's got something. Yeah,
he's bluffing.
Yeah, that's right.
Can I just say, Barry, thank you so much for sharing that and being vulnerable with us. Yeah. I think that's really something special. I was just sitting here quietly, just taking that in and just I admire that. I really do. Yeah.
No, you know what? It's a lot easier around people that you trust as well to be able to speak about this because, like I said, if I'm on something like Twitter and I'm defending this, I've learned to do this. I've learned to stop talking about it. I talk about it, but I won't engage with someone who comes back and they're so brutal about it. I just won't engage with them.
You're right.
Because I hope we're not on a Christian show, but I think they're a bunch of cunts.
Oh, no, you can say
Good. Yeah. They're an absolute bunch of cunts. And if I were face-to-face with them, I don't know what I would do, but I would say it would get quite bloody. I cannot believe that there are people who have this level of not just ignorance, it's evil. They feel like, and this is really interesting for me. I go, politicians going to politic. You know that they're going to lie through their teeth of ours, like ours have with us. The media are bought by the government. They're funded by the government. They're as corrupt as hell. You expect that. But what you don't expect is the average guy in the street who's doing their work for them, donning the brown shirt. That many people, that many sheep that want to throw on that shirt and defend big Pfizer, big pharma. They want to defend the government. You go, why? Why would you do that?
There's going to be a moment in our future in New Zealand where people realised they were one of the brown shirts that pushed a narrative that they didn't even fully understand. And I think New Zealand is going to be very slow to come to that realisation compared to some other countries. Like in Australia right now, you've got much more open freedom of press talking about the discoveries of, actually there's been some horrific side effects with these vaccines, and oh my goodness, look at what we're seeing. And it comes out more freely and openly. But in New Zealand, it's really locked down. It's keeping to the narrative of 2022, 2021, right? And it was safe and it was effective and hardly anyone has any problems. And we're still holding on to that. And there are people who will know, folks, that are 100% for it. There's nothing wrong with it. It couldn't possibly affect anyone. You must be lying if you're telling stories about it. And these are the people whom I worry for, because they're the ones that are going to want to kill themselves when they realize what they've pushed upon others, what they've been involved in imposing on people to take things that have ultimately led to cognitive decline, birth defects, myocarditis, sudden unexplained deaths in young, healthy people.
They don't exist.
So much stuff is happening in the country that's starting to come out now, and we might be 3-4 years away from people realizing it. We might be 10 years away. There may never be an apology from, say, Pfizer or the government, but when it becomes clear and open to the world that what we've been through and the damage that it's done, New Zealand being so slow to realize, I think we'll go through a tremendous period of shame, because there's not enough voices actually going, look at this open-mindedly and objectively and actually read the science. And if you don't believe me, would you believe Pfizer? They've written about it in their own documents, and we just blinkered to it.
I think it's a willful ignorance at this stage.
Yeah.
I think there was someone on Joe Rogan that one of the numerous doctors who have come out with new findings as new information emerges, right?
That's
and
right.
It's that ability to be open to new information.
Dr. Malhotra.
Yeah, Dr. Malhotra. And he was saying it's not that people are not intelligent, it's that they just don't want to see it. They want to block it out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
And put it at the past. And the way I view it, it's like there's 3 stages. It's like a 3-stage act or play. You've got the pre-tragedy,
Oh, yeah.
before the pandemic, the actual tragedy, but the worst is the post-tragedy or the post-trauma that people have suffered. And as you say, it's about the healing and the process. It's like the cleanup now. That a lot of people are not acknowledging that. It's like part of their, they just want to move on, which I find fascinating.
Yeah, who wants to admit that they gave that to their mother, their father, and then they made their kids have it, and then the potential that they're going to make those kids sick, and then they have to take accountability and responsibility for that?
Yeah,
they would rather just blinker it.
Yeah, suppress it, blinker it, and not own up
That's
to
a big one.
Their own actions and their own,
Children that have died, where the parents said, you've got to take this.
Yeah, who wants to admit that they did that?
Yeah, but maybe they won't draw the link.
And the same as us, though. It's like there's no blame to them. They believe the government. We believe the government. Now that we're finding out the government may have lied to us, then that's just time to accept that.
That's right. And the position I sit in personally is people who have or haven't, I'll just say people who have taken this vaccine, they didn't necessarily know that this was how it was going to go. And they could be like me or you or anyone else who didn't, or in your case, Barry, did. But, you were just getting on with your life.
We're sold on the fear, but, I wasn't
You're just
sold
trying to get on
fear.
and move on and get on to do the things that was your next task in front of you, that bit of travel that you had to do, the whatever. And you weren't pushing necessarily one way or another or telling people how to live their life. You're just trying to mark off your to-do list. Now, I knew, and Rob knew, this was not something for me, right? But I fully expected there'll be people who kind of just had to go and do this to make the next move in the tack from left to right to forward to back to getting on with the next process that they were going to do.
Sure.
And I really feel for them because I consider them to be absolute innocent parties. There's no agenda with these people. There's no necessarily trying to impose something on someone else. They're just like, okay, I've got to go do this thing. And then you hear about, like what you said, there are people on social media who've ripped into you and given you shit. And some of these
hurry
people...
up and die is pretty
That's
brutal.
pretty freaking brutal. And this is someone who was themselves an anti-vaxxer.
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
Yeah,
isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. They said we refused to take the vaccine, and the problem is you because you took the vaccine.
Right. And I think that sort of level of anger and hatred is an unresolved issue for that poor soul, because that person, I'm just going to imagine something about them and fantasize something about them, which is, I suspect, they probably feel anger from the way society treated them as an anti-vaxxer. That, they were the ferals, as someone I know would call them. That they were some of the unclean who weren't allowed to go places, couldn't travel, weren't allowed into this or that store, and just feel tremendous anger about it. To which I say to them, get over it, because you don't have a health problem, whereas others do. And we've got to be caring and compassionate for all the things that people are going for. We've got to be here to support each other in this cleanup and in this reveal, right?
Well,
and you're a voice of the reveal, Barry.
And we've
obviously.
been turned into enemies against each other.
Right.
Because then when we're
How
looking
to
at
divide, right?
we're looking at each other, we're not looking at them.
Yeah.
But I can tell you this, if anybody out there who doesn't believe me about people like this, all they've got to do is go onto Twitter and go @Tubbs with 2 B's,
Yeah.
99999, read that guy's feed. It is vile crap.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to wonder, eh?
But I really, what you just summed up there, is obviously someone has so much anger or own dis-ease within them that they have to find some sort of outlet and they have to project that. Whereas really they should be projecting all that within themselves and to heal that aspect of themselves.
People like that, people like who you just described, Barry, are just a distraction.
@Tubbs 99999.
Yeah.
Yeah.
@Tubbs 999. What? That guy.
We should turn that up. It should be @Tubbs 99666.
Yeah, right. It should be. But that's like, you got to wonder if that's just a way to get people bickering amongst themselves and cause disharmony to do what you said, Barry, which is sort of not look at the cause.
Yeah.
But I wonder how many of them on social media, and I look at them, are bots.
I was
Are
gonna say
literally
the same
plans
thing.
to put in there to turn that around.
Yeah.
Well, because like on Twitter especially, there was a huge reveal about that there was a whole bunch of that stuff going on. And that seems crazy to me, but the more I look into this world of AI and all that sort of stuff, the more you go, actually, that's totally now we're living in the realms of that being possible.
Well, the only
Yeah.
reason this agenda can play out is what David Icke has always talked about, is the apprehension of consciousness.
Yeah.
If you can apprehend the mind through media, through the media channels and the constant programming, then that's what you're going to start believing, and that's what you're just going to reflect back out.
Oh, God, have you seen that?
So if you can break out of that spell, then...
Have you two seen that clip where they've got all the media stations, they have all these TV stations
Right, yeah,
where it's exactly the same
script.
message. Exactly.
It's mass propaganda on a scale, and it's a little bit like...
Seen that.
My analogy is the fish that doesn't know it's in the water. So it's just this constant noise, external, right? That you're programmed from the moment you're born, through your parents, through school, through societal. And you don't realize that there's another program, a deeper program, an inner stillness, an inner connection to source, universe, that is always there, that goes beyond all of that, because it's all just, to use the word, the matrix. So, yeah, when you can go, that's just something to ponder and reflect. So, and I think that's why it's so easy to manipulate people to just choose a side and to play them off
Yeah.
and not look at the bigger picture and go, well, who's created that agenda? Who's behind it? To what end? To what purpose? Problem, reaction, solution, right? So just asking those questions, and, we've been on this truth journey, if you like, is just having that moment of, awakening or just that splinter in the mind where you start questioning the nature of things, and then you can be open to those possibilities and to different viewpoints and have just a deeper connection and a deeper relationship to things. So,
Speaking of going within and having a deeper connection to it, Barry, have you ever asked yourself, why you?
No. Not yet. No, I haven't done that because, if I do the why me, it's self-pity. And I refuse to buy into it.
But I mean it in a non-pity kind of a way, like,
how come me? You know what?
How come? Because I have answers for that, that I imagine why you, because you're a strong personality. That's why you, because you're someone who possesses incredible articulation. You can really express, right? Like you're a writer.
Liz said something to me that was really interesting. She said, everything that you think up to this point has been your purpose. Perhaps it's not. Perhaps what's happened to you is your purpose.
Perhaps it's context to the purpose. Yeah.
And perhaps your awakening is your now ability to wake somebody else. So if you can wake up 1 other person or 2 or 3 or how many that may be,
Precisely.
that's your purpose.
Yeah.
And potentially it is, but then I keep thinking it's like, oh, what, I'm Christ? Or I'm a finger of Christ or something like that. There's no religious bone in my body, but it really does have me thinking now.
Yeah.
Perhaps
Gets me thinking.
Perhaps I'm out there to do them. And the same with you two.
Well, you're such a strong
You're here to
energy.
deliver a message.
Yeah.
How we have to put that message out, how that's perceived and the outcome from that message is way beyond our control. But we have got the control to be able to put the message out.
Yeah. Yeah. I see it as, we have different lives within lives. And this is just another chapter in your journey. Like we all have a different chapter and we can create a different story. Yes, there are so many things we can't control, but we don't want to focus on that. We can focus on the things we can control. So I think Liz is definitely onto it.
Yeah, you have the freedom of speech, and whatever you get to say is yours. It's your choice to say it. What the outcome of that is beyond your control.
True. Yeah. Yeah. All we can do is turn up and try to be as authentic as possible and speak your truth. And however that lands is up to the individual, however they...
Yeah.
Whether they've got, whether they're at a point in their lives where they can take this in and use it and for better, for good, for what I call like something beyond and bigger than yourself, which goes beyond your own egoic identity of who you think you are, then that's great. But if not, then, you're not quite there yet. But everyone's on a different, it's not, I always say it's not a race. So your journey is unique. My journey is unique. So we shouldn't compare, but we can at least hold the space and honour each other's journey and accept no matter where you're at, that's where you're at.
Yeah,
I think there's power in acceptance because there's a certain amount of liberation if you can get to that place.
Yeah, I think there's something to it in that story where you go, it's never the destination because it's the journey, because the journey is the destination.
Exactly.
So I'm learning that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what the end point will be. The end point might not happen. It might be tomorrow. But you live the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've been having some interesting treatments there, haven't you?
Oh, yeah. Ozone therapy, intravenous ozone therapy, HOCAT ozone therapy. I'm lying under crystals at the moment.
Nice.
I'll tell you, the crystal thing was really interesting. It's a room called a tachyon crystal chamber with a pyramid that's set up above you, and you lie in a bed and it's got a crystal in it, and there's nothing else in the room except that crystal.
Okay.
And I went into that room and I went, oh, my God, this is bullshit. And within half an hour, I felt my skin crawling around my eyes. I felt pressure points getting pushed.
Wow.
It was a really interesting experience. So I've been 3 times now. I mean, none of this stuff has really made any difference to me, but
you're open to different modalities and
trying things.
Yeah, absolutely trying everything. But the gift of it is the people who've stepped forward who want to offer that as a gift to try to help you. Whether it helps or not, the fact that they were there and the fact that there's that group behind you of people who are saying, you know what, we're doing this for nothing. We're giving you our time. We care enough that we're going to do that. That thought alone is enough to carry me through, and I think those people are absolutely amazing. I've got a lady called Michelle in Tauranga. She's beautiful. She was doing my HOCAT. My guy that was doing intravenous, Augustin, absolutely brilliant. Sally, Sam, Liz, all those people around me that are just amazing. Stephen Brunton, B. Brunton, Rob. The people that are around me are the people that amaze me more.
I love that.
And you're putting up with my coughing.
It's the power of humanity and community. And
sound like a 2-pack a day guy.
2-pack was a rapper, wasn't he?
I went to Madame Tussauds in Vegas with the wax dummy of Tupac.
Yeah.
And I had a six-pack at that stage, and I think I got a photo with my shirt up, and he goes, "Hey, Tupac, here's six-pack."
Nice one.
Nice. Sorry, Rob, you were going to say
what came to mind was that's such a gift that you recognise the people that have come into your life that are willing to just be of service and give their talent and their time and their love. And for me, that's ultimately what it's all about. You know, it's
sometimes
that's humanity at
that's
work.
humanity.
Sometimes you don't see it until you really need it.
Yeah.
And life forces you to be open to something that you might have been closed off to. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's something about that, the willing to accept the love from others, yet at the same time be closed to love from others and seek for something more. You go through imposter syndrome, maybe you have lack of confidence, you try to do things to outwardly solve those problems, but all along that love was there. If it was needed, all along it was there.
And speaking of journeys, I've always said the longest journey you can ever take is from your heart. Sorry, from your head to your heart.
Yeah.
It may be only a foot, but that's what it's about, right?
Yeah.
Like opening this up, because it opens you up to those people that want to show love and appreciation, but it also opens up to yourself, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Your own self-love, your own self-acceptance. Go, oh, this is who I am.
Yeah.
This is who I really am. It's not all this stuff up here in my head. It's actually, that's the eternal self. That's the way I look at it.
Well,
After my suicide shop, I got a psychologist.
Yeah.
And it's saying in line with what you're saying. She said she went through all this stuff. She said to me, yes, you took an auto step towards hanging yourself, so it was like automatic. She said, but the subconscious is really hard at work. So when you get to that point, your subconscious is still fighting for life. It's fighting survival. It's a basic instinct in us where you're fighting survival. Yep. So somewhere inside you at a subconscious level, you were going, oh, that's all right. It's okay, I can do this. So that was just the self-doubt, the imposter syndrome, everything I've lived with for years. And she taught me over the last 5 months to look at yourself through the eyes of somebody else. So the people who love you. She said, are you unlovable? And at times I'd be in tears and I'd go, well, clearly I must be. And she said, do you think the people around you, do you think your wife doesn't love you, that your friends don't love you, that your friends don't see this in you? And I'd say, no, well, I've got friends who say this or they say that, and they talk about how much they care. Do you believe them? And I go, well, yes. And she said, but you believe you're unlovable. And it took a long time for me to get to a point where I could go, no, I can see that. Without being conceited, but knowing that you need to love yourself before you can really love somebody else.
It's a skill to receive help.
Yeah.
It's a skill to receive love because we often have pride or ego in the way of being open to receiving it. And it's so important that we do receive it and allow it in, not just for us, but because the gift of giving it from the other person to you is being denied them if they can't give it. They want to give you something and you think that's about you and you want to turn it down. Oh, I shouldn't, I don't deserve it. You don't have to give me that. You're actually denying them the opportunity to express love, which is as much a gift to do as it is to receive.
Exactly. You took the words right out of my mouth. So it's like that. It's like the yin and yang. It's like it's complete. So there's the giving and the receiving. Yeah. So equally, they're valid, and they're both acts of love.
Yeah, there have been people I've wanted to give things to who have allowed me to give assistance, and they're like, I'm so grateful that you've done this. And I'm like, no, friend. I'm so grateful I got the opportunity to show you I care, because where else do I get to?
But
when else can I do that?
Yeah, and you've got to give yourself permission to receive. That's a huge one. Something I've had to learn as well.
Yeah.
Because you want to be independent, you want to be self-sufficient. But to complete that exchange,
that's right,
on a sort of a universal, energetic level, there's got to be that flow. Yeah.
Speaking of flow, I feel the energy's wrapping up for this one. anything else you want to say before we go, Barry?
I love you guys.
Well, I love you right back.
I love you right back, buddy.
Guardians of the Galaxy. I want to do a Vin Diesel like, I love you guys.
Oh, can you do Groot?
Yeah, cool.
No, that was Groot.
No, but you got to say
Yeah.
I am Groot.
No, we are Groot. We are Groot.
We are.
We are.
Till next time, everyone.